set up a group called the COSAP, Conference of Speakers of African Parliaments, and we'll be looking at issues from time to time as they affect African countries.
Exploring parliamentary intervention to peace, House Speaker Gbajabiamila gives scorecard on contracts with Nigerians.
With all humility, as the president elected by all, I will be the president for all.
Nigeria's Akinwumi Adesina takes oath for second time as AFDB president, outlines comprehensive development plan for the continent. Strategic meeting updates FG's efforts on addressing humanitarian issues nationwide.
The administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, GC7, is so passionate about indigenous solutions.
Plus, support for indigenous digital solutions to emerging socio-economic challenges. It's good to have you tune in for the network news tonight on NTA. I'm Ian Ray John. With me tonight are Dotun Oguyemi in Lagos and Abdullahi Muhammad in Kaduna. Welcome. Issues relating to the alleged maltreatment of Nigerian businessmen in the Republic of Ghana dominated discussions as President Muhammadu Buhari granted audience to the Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports on this and the President's engagement with Governor Hope Uzodinma on the menace of erosion in Imo State.
Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila was in the State House to formally present to President Muhammadu Buhari the recently launched compendium by the House of Representatives, which the members called Our Contract with Nigerians.
So you have your copy of our legislative agenda,
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
During the closed-door engagement, President Muhammadu Buhari and Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila discussed the fate of Nigerian businessmen in Ghana, whose shops were recently closed by the authorities following the imposition of prohibitive taxes.
I'm leaving for Ghana tomorrow to meet with the Speaker of the Parliament in Ghana to look at the issues on ground as it affects our citizens and to try and calm things down and see if there's a way forward. And we hope that we'll come to an amicable settlement one way or the other. As you know, I have set up a group called the COSAP, Conference of Speakers of African Parliaments, and we'll be looking at issues from time to time as they affect African countries, and this is one of them. As Africans, we must at all times work, as best as possible together as we can, and that's what this my trip is about.
All right, thank you very much.
So what did the President say?
Well, he was happy. I believe that all avenues must be explored. He believes it. He's a man of peace, and he believes that every avenue for peace must be explored. And so, yeah, we're all on the same page.
And it was a warm welcome for Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State by the Nigerian leader as issues of development, especially the problems of erosion in the eastern heartland, dominated discussions.
The level of erosion in Imo State is alarming. And I've taken time to explain to Mr. President, and he has assured me that the federal government will intervene as soon as possible.
The governor used the opportunity to formally appreciate the Buhari presidency for what he called the unprecedented infrastructural development in the southeast Nigeria.
That our people are grateful, the completion and the opening of Enugu Airport, and we're also happy with the speed and the pace of work at the second Niger Bridge, and the various agric intervention programs brought to Southeast. And I believe that Mr. President is committed towards alleviating some of the problems in the Southeast region, and Imo State in particular.
Governor Hope Uzodinma, who updated President Buhari on his efforts at taking Imo State to the next level of development, said a lot has been achieved regarding his administration's urban renewal enterprise. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Community Court of Justice, ECOWAS, has described as false and baseless a report by the website myjoyonline.com entitled ECOWAS Court Dismisses Case Against Ghana and asked members of the public to disregard it in its entirety. Clearing the air on the status of the matter, President Community Court of Justice, ECOWAS, Honorable Edward Amoko Asante, in a statement condemns the report and disowns the purported judgment, saying the court did not deliver any such judgment. The statement further reveals that the case was never heard, so the court therefore did not accept nor reject the submissions of any of the parties as falsely claimed in the said publication. With the prevalence of flooding and other crises leading to much humanitarian issues in the country, this cannot be said to be the best of time for the ministry in charge, headed by Sadiya Umar Farouk. An impromptu meeting held this Tuesday in the office of the Vice President sought for greater cooperation and support from all tiers of government as well as the people in addressing these humanitarian concerns, especially in the Northeast. State House correspondent Jide Onifade brings us details.
Kebbi State rice farms submerged underwater, an indication of how much havoc flooding could cause if not prevented. More states have been put on alert by the Meteorological Agency and warning that more of such destruction to property, even lives, is imminent unless the people take adequate precautions. Movement of humanitarian services to affected areas is another huge challenge, coupled with security issues. All these call for aids be put together to ensure that the people do not suffer.
We're here specifically to meet on the humanitarian and security situation in the Northeast. And we held the meeting successfully and it's fruitful. And we're moving ahead. Food and other aids to reach the badly affected areas, mostly the salvage areas in the Northeast. And you know, our militaries have been doing wonderfully well these days, and the communities are opening up.
This is one of such cooperations that we are having. We are collaborating and we are working together to see that we achieve the same common objective of addressing the humanitarian issues in the northeastern part of this country as well as other parts of the country.
Governor of Taraba State, Darius Ishaku, and Hope Uzodinma of Imo State also paid visit to the Vice President.
It's the point there is also kidnapping. We've been doing it's a stress on our cost, but how can we do? So we must work for the survival of our people.
The belief is that irrespective of differences, the most important is the coming together by stakeholders to fight common enemies of the country for the betterment of the people. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Similarly, a National Humanitarian Coordination Technical Working Group has been inaugurated by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for a seamless delivery of humanitarian action among key players within the Northeast Theatre of Operation. Ruth Aguele reports.
Journey of 1,000 miles, they say, begins with a step. It is a milestone being recorded with the inauguration of the National Humanitarian Coordination Technical Working Group to ensure a structured and efficient approach towards the realization of the civil security coordination within the Northeast Theatre of Operation. This is in respite of bridging communication gap among members of the committee towards reaching the goal of humanitarian action to affected communities and foster understanding amongst key players.
The TWG is a multi-sectoral committee that will propose a national vision for humanitarian action and ensure an evidence-based approach to the implementation of any NHCC recommendations related to operationalization of the CSEC framework and guidelines. The terms of reference for the committee are: propose a national vision for humanitarian action.
Members of the technical group are expected to ensure functional engagements between security agencies and humanitarian actors remain consistent. Also propose policies that will enhance effective and efficient humanitarian service delivery that will cater not only for the Northeast region, but Nigeria as a whole. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
And in Borno, the state government has inaugurated a 22-member hard-powered committee for resettlement of Baga community in Kukawa local government area of the state. This follows communication with the military high command seeking approval to resettle the over 3 years displaced communities. Mohammed Goni reports.
The inauguration of the committee followed Governor Babagana Umara's visits to communities in Kukawa local government area, including Baga, to fast-track relocation of IDPs from the area taking refuge in Monguno and elsewhere, and the subsequent letter written to the Army High Command seeking approval for resettlement of the communities, which was granted. Governor Babagana Umara thanked the military High Command, including the Service Chief, the Inspector General of Police, Director General of DSS, among others, for their support in that regard, and further reassure readiness of the Borno State government to partner with all the security establishments in Borno to realize the objective of returning the IDPs of Baga extraction home on 26 October 2020.
The Chief of Army Staff had replied that it is possible for the government of Borno State to relocate these people to Baga on 26th of September.
The governor further charged the committee to work assiduously to ensure realization of the target date of resettlement of Baga community. Chairman of the committee, Barrister Kakasha Ulan, thanked the governor for finding them worthy for the job and assured to live up to expectation. The committee's terms of reference include to commence immediate reconstruction and resettlement of Baga, identifying IDPs from the targeted communities for resettlement, as well as to take any other step that will ensure safe return of the communities, among others. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
And away from Borno State now, Dr. Akinwumi Ayodeji Adesina has been sworn in as president of the African Development Bank, AFDB, for a second term of 5 years. He is the first Nigerian to be elected and re-elected to serve as president of the AFDB. Moplang Dakok reports that the oath of office was administered by Kenneth Ofori-Atta, Ghana's finance minister and chair of the AFDB Board of Governors.
Akinwumi Ayodeji Adesina, President of the African Development Bank, solemnly declare and undertake before the chairperson.
Akinwumi Adesina was sworn in this Tuesday at the AFDB headquarters in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, in the virtual broadcast following his re-election on August 27, 2020. Adesina is the first ever president to be elected by 100% of votes by regional and non-regional members of the bank. Dr. Adesina says his administration has outlined development plan for Africa that will ease the continent out of COVID-19 economic shock.
I stand today with all humility as the president elected by all. I will be the president for all. The bank's climate financing expanded from 9% when you elected me in 2015 to 36% by 2019, an increase of 400%. We've now targeted to reach $25 billion in climate finance by 2021, God willing.
The bank's board of directors approved $10 billion COVID-19 response facility to address project investments for countries on the continent. It also launched $3 billion social bond on the global market. Dr. Adesina's first term in office focused on 5 development priorities: light up and power Africa, feed Africa, industrialize Africa, integrate Africa, and improve the quality of life for the people of Africa. Moplang Dakok, NTA News.
In other news, despite the increasing pressure on scarce resources amidst other emerging challenges, an honest implementation of ideas by a focused leadership can improve the fortunes of societies and make them better. Vice President Oshibajo stated this at the virtual public presentation of 3 books on policy, politics and governance. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Commenting on the books which analysis centers on leadership, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo notes that if there was any doubt about the fact that the quality of leadership is central to the fortunes of society, the coronavirus pandemic has established that in plain terms. purpose of politics, as he says, is the attainment of power for the prosecution of the public good and not as an end in itself or for personal or other parochial interests.
What the problem we have is that there is so much concern about self, about narrow parochial interests, that the Nigerian elite is even unable, even out of self-preservation, to find a consensus, not only to lead the nation forward, but also to prevent itself from destruction.
In the era of the mindless tweets and other digital enablers of lightning speed communication and the prole attention span they nurture, the Vice President observes that the space for critical thinking on public affairs is narrowing and the public intellectual is fast becoming an endangered category. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And on electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is optimistic that with the recent disposition of key players in the Edo governorship election, the process will be smooth. Mie Ogede reports that the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, stated this while swearing in Tella Adeniran as resident electoral commissioner for Ekiti State.
Steps telling of a man that his trademark is optimism, and the arrival of the month of September that is hosting the Edo governorship elections on the 19th day puts this optimism to test. The INEC chairman is on his way to the media center within the premises of the headquarters for the swearing-in ceremony of the resident electoral commissioner, but brief stopover with the media on the Edo situation.
We are good to go and we are making good progress. So we are concerned, but we are leaving no stone unturned in speaking to the political actors, to respected voices like the Oba of Benin, as well as the security agencies to ensure hitch-free elections.
Mike Egini, the resident electoral commissioner for Akwa Ibom State, is not having it too good with the Edo State chapter of the APC for alleged romance with the PDP, an accusation the INEC chairman reacted.
The REC himself responded, and in my discussion with him yesterday, he also has asked his lawyers to initiate legal action against the person who made the statement. But let me also say this, that we stand by our resident electoral commissioners. We know the kind of job we are doing on the eve of elections. You know, all manner of people come with all manner of accusations to slander officials of the commission, essentially in order to divert our attention from the onerous task of conducting elections in Nigeria. We won't be distracted.
And defend the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So, back to the man of the moment, Tella Adenira, now sworn in as the resident electoral commissioner for Ekiti State, without the usual handshake, no thanks to COVID-19. The new resident electoral commissioner is coming at a time INEC is to conduct 2 governorship elections and 14 by-elections in 10 states across the federation. Mie Ogede, NTA News.
You're watching the network news at 9 on the NTA. Institutionalizing African traditional medicine for development. Details in the second part of tonight's news. Do stay on. Thanks for staying. Remedial work is yet to commence on Rigachikung Bridge along the Kaduna-Zaria Highway, 3 days after the damage on a portion of it. Abdullahi Mohammed reports that concerns are mounting over pressure on the alternative bridge.
The damaged part of the bridge has expanded, with the risk of the rest of debris plunging further. Pedestrians have found this development interesting, defying all the dangerous signs and marks.
With the damaged bridge sealed off, its alternative is estimated to be bearing the pressure of about 24,000 vehicles daily. The rainfall has continued to increase, and so the volume of water around the bridge, which is now burrowing into the soil that is holding that bridge. Nobody knows what will happen next.
The bridge is now the only link to about 8 states in northern Nigeria, and by 6 p.m., when the highway is open to articulated vehicles, traffic increases, leading to gridlock, with some of them standing still on the bridge exerting pressure. The Controller, Federal Ministry of Works in Kaduna, says there is no cause to worry.
If you look at the route from Kaduna to Zaria, we have different work zones. We have diversions. So in the course of this work, at a point, we will still make that diversion and vehicles will pass. As long as they are not standing, they are passing by. It's just like an influence load, crossing across. So there's no cause for alarm.
No cause for alarm, he says, but motorists say it is hectic, especially when an articulated vehicle breaks down on the only lane.
It is not easy because as you are seeing, vehicles are following the same lane. The earlier they do something about it, the better.
For now, the Federal Road Safety Corps is fully in charge and the traffic is flowing slowly and surely. In Kaduna, Abdullahi Muhammad, NTA News.
As just reported in Kaduna, the incidences of collapse of road infrastructure in Nigeria is becoming alarming if recent reports across the country are anything to go by. Prominent among this is the frequency with which bridges cave in, causing untold hardship to motorists. Austin Anyebe takes a look at this ugly development.
Critical infrastructure in any economy as it aids movement of goods and services. This explains why government expend huge capital to invest in road infrastructure across the country. Bridges feature prominently in road construction across valleys and rivers. But the spate of bridge collapse in recent times has become a source of worry to many stakeholders in road transportation.
If you observe properly, you realize that majority of these bridges are being constructed by foreigners without considering environmental assessment before this and, compromising, quality.
Maintenance is very important. Look at Milan Bridge. If they've not been maintaining it, perhaps by now would have been recording disaster.
As at last count, many have lost their lives and several property when bridges in Kwara, Adamawa, Jigawa, Plateau, Ogun and Ekiti State collapsed, just to mention a few instances. The recent one in Kaduna last week is causing untold suffering to commuters.
Quality, the capacity, the road is built not to carry. We shouldn't have all the tankers and the trailers plying our bridges and roads across Nigeria. Some of these things should go through the pipelines and then we should have rails working to take away all of the haulages from the road.
People are of the view that the Federal Ministry of Works and relevant stakeholders should adopt a sustainable maintenance strategy for bridges to build people's confidence. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
To other issues now, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy has urged Nigerians to be bold enough in supporting and promoting indigenous digital solutions to deal with present and future impact of pandemics. He said this during the virtual lunch and award ceremony of the COVID-19 Research Grant organized by the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. Joseph Johnson has more.
Seem to be gradually stepping up efforts in utilizing their skills rather than harping on the acquisition of certificates, particularly in the information and communication technology (ICT) sector, which plays a pivotal role in economic growth and sustainability of modern world economy. These ICT experts say the coronavirus pandemic is partly responsible for what they call the Hackathon Challenge by the regulatory body, which was held to encourage innovativeness and find indigenous digital solutions. The competition unveiled 3 winning adaptable digital breakthroughs out of a total of 298 innovators who participated. 3 million naira grant was awarded to each winner.
The administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, GC, is so passionate about indigenous solutions. It is because of this I use the opportunity as well to motivate NCC and at the same time on behalf of the federal government to direct them to institutionalize the grant.
This competition aimed at producing homegrown solutions to the global pandemic for local, national, or international adoption. It's focusing on 5 thematic areas, namely health, community, productivity, economy, and education.
The ovation for these ones may be loud, but with more and more people across the globe made to rely on technology for almost everything, the search to finding more practical ways of digitally addressing pandemic and epidemic diseases from technology hubs and startups is still far from over. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
There is the need to galvanize ICT development in Nigeria, particularly to ease business and service delivery, as well as enhance employment opportunities. This is the opinion of the Chairman, Senate Committee on ICT and Cybercrime, Senator Yakubu Seni, while on a visit to the Federal Road Safety Corps headquarters in Abuja. Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
The 21st century is said to be an era of technology. This implies that individuals as well as organizations must embrace ICT. This visit by the Senate Committee on ICT and Cybercrime is meant to look at the Corps' ICT installations and platforms to identify gaps that require immediate legislative solutions.
We have gone around other places, and in terms of rating, I must say that you are rated very high.
You have been able to take advantage of ICT to enhance your processes, yes, and that is very commendable.
Thank you. The Corps Marshal revealed that ICT has helped the ease of operation as well as quick response to emergencies and surveillance, despite different failed attempts by hackers to get access to the Corps accounts.
The Corps has recorded several attempts, mainly in the form of phishing, but none has been successful so far. To prevent these attempts from becoming attacked, the Corps has a smart anti-poaching email security solution, Iron Card.
The Senate Committee expressed readiness to collaborate with the Corps in areas of interest. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
And on health, scaling up institutionalization of African traditional medicine in the health system in Africa is key in the promotion and development of traditional medicine. This is the thrust of discussions as Nigeria joins the world to celebrate 2020 African Traditional Medicine. Basi Ita Ekbang reports that the theme of this year's celebration is 2 decades of African Traditional Medicine, 2001 to 2020. What progress in countries?
For the past 18 years, countries in the African region marked the African Traditional Medicine Day, the strengthening of the linkage between traditional medicine and institutionalized care in line with WHO strategy. The commemoration underscores the fact that traditional medicine has been used by Africans for the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment.
Africa must pause and reflect on how well it has fared in promotion, development, researching, and ultimate integration of traditional medicine into the mainstream healthcare delivery system.
Within a very short while, it is very clear that policy-wise, we are finally getting it right.
Experts were quick to draw attention to the fact that during this COVID-19 crisis, African traditional medicine took the spotlight, starting with widespread discussion of COVID organics as a potential remedy for the virus.
With strong political will, the researchers, the practitioners, and all the serious stakeholders to come in and promote the African traditional medicine in their respective countries.
Basi Taikba, NTA News.
The Association of Resident Doctors, Federal Capital Territory Administration, have embarked on strike over non-payment of COVID-19 hazard inducement allowance, as well as non-implementation of the variation of the 2018 promotion exercise, amongst other issues. In a communique after its virtual emergency general meeting on Monday, President of the chapter, Dr. Roland Agbovo, said this follows expiration of a 14-day ultimatum given to the FCT administration. Hakimat Aliyu reports.
Stated in their communique, the strike commenced 8 a.m. this morning.
The issue borders on the payment of the COVID-19 hazard allowance and the non-implementation of the variation of our members.
Without the strike, this place would have been a beehive of people lined up to see the doctors. But with no doctor on seat, many have had to go back to their homes unattended.
My wife is not that sound and she just gave birth new. Coming to the hospital, even for them to attend to her, they said doctors are on strike.
So my dismay, since morning I've called in here, my son is in the emergency ward there. If you see his leg, you will not be happy at all. Our this juncture plead with the federal government to attend to the needs and plight of the resident doctors.
So even as I am now, I want to see a doctor because I know how I feel. But if I go there now, they say doctor is on strike, I will not feel happy.
As a observed in Wuse district hospitals. Resident doctors have deserted their duty posts, and those needing medical attention are already feeling the impact. They urge all parties involved to urgently address the situation and meet the demands of the resident doctors before the situation deteriorates. In Abuja, Hakimat Aliu, NTA News.
And away from health matters now, President Muhammadu Buhari has sent greetings to former Director General of the Bureau of Public Service Reforms, Dr. Goke Adegoroye, on his 70th birthday, saluting his dedication to strengthening the structure of governance and capacity of public servants. The president joins family members, friends and associates to celebrate the scholar who committed his time and resources to ensuring effectiveness in public service by consistently advocating streamlining of institutions to reflect objectives, and affirms that Dr. Adegoroye left lasting legacies as a chief policy advisor, accounting officer and chief operating officer in charge of manpower development at the Ministries of Education, Tourism, Culture and National Orientation and the Ministry of Interior, as well as Federal Capital Territory Administration. President Buhari praised Almighty God to grant Dr. Adegoroye good health and longer life. We'll now take a pause here in Abuja for Datu in Lagos to bring us some reports. Datu, it's over to you.
Thank you, Iere. Preliminary reports on investigations into the cause of Bell 206B3 helicopter crash, which occurred Friday, 28th of August, has begun, with expectations that it will be released in few weeks. This was disclosed by the Commissioner, Accident Investigation Bureau, Akin Olateru, at a media briefing in Lagos. Hawal Yusuf Jibo tells us more.
The purpose for this media engagement with the Commissioner Accident Investigation Bureau is to clarify speculations as regards the probable cause of Friday's helicopter crash involving Bell 206B3 helicopter operated by Quorum Aviation.
The ill-fated helicopter with nationality registration marks 5NBQW originated from Port Harcourt with Lagos as its intended destination. AIB boss disclosed that there was smooth communication between the pilot and air terminal control, with the last communication at 12:10 p.m. However, at 12:36, ATC was informed of the crash.
We would like to clarify that AIB did not retrieve an FDR from the aircraft, as the Bell 206 is certified at approximately 1,519 kilograms and featured 5 seats. It does not meet the necessary criteria for an FDR and was not featured as one. The standard requirement for an FDR is an aircraft in any aircraft is 10 seats.
According to AIB, owners of the helicopter have valid documents and air operator certificate, while the helicopter had a valid certificate of airworthiness. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
CAM Steel Integrated Company, one of Nigeria's biggest players in the steel industry, has acquired the assets of Standard Meteorological Company with a view to growing the nation's production capacity in the iron and steel sector. Chairman CAM Holding Kamoru Yusuf at the handing over said the multi-billion naira steel plant will produce steel materials of the best and international quality. Abalade Salami reports.
The appendage of signatures by both parties confirmed the transfer of property to CAM Steel Integrated Company Limited. The 60 billion naira steel plant, with a production capacity of 300,000 metric tons per annum, is expected to produce state-of-the-art quality thermomechanically treated sheets and 5.5 mm wire coils.
We want to position Nigeria to produce the best steel for our country, and having done this, this will give us an advantage of go further by installing the slab caster and also producing the ultra coil that can be used as a source of material for the manufacturing company.
Our major agenda is to continue to project Nigeria on the global map as one of the major producers of iron and steel products in the world.
With over 3 decades experience in the manufacturing of steel products such as nails, stone-coated roofing sheets, iron rods, and wire mesh, management of CAM Integrated Steel said the acquisition of the plant to CAM Holdings will serve as an enhancement to their production.
One of the best thing what we have here is very ultra-modern electric arc furnace for the primary steel making. Then we have liquid refining furnace, that is for the refining of high-grade steel. And then we have twin caster. This caster is basically closed circuit caster that will be producing very high-quality steel billets.
Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Adeniyi Adebayo, who was represented by his Senior Special Assistant, Technical, Olu Adebayo, said the ministry is working towards the enactment of the Nigerian Metallurgical Industry Bill to serve as an enabling law for effective regulation of the metal sector. During a tour of the steel plant, management revealed that a test run has been carried out on the machines, which is set to commence operation soon, with the creation of 10,000 jobs. From Shagamu, Ogun State, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Let's now take another break. Network News continues shortly.
Glad to have you back. And on security, Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, says the construction of an aircraft maintenance hangar in 231 helicopter overhaul depot at NAF Base, Bauchi, when completed, will significantly add value to the operations of the force in the northeast, northwest, and the entire country. He made the statement at the groundbreaking ceremony of the project in Bauchi. Muazu Hassan reports.
The official commencement of the construction project of aircraft maintenance hangar at the Nigerian Air Force Base Bauchi. Before now, the maintenance of most of the Nigerian Air Force aircraft were carried out in such facilities available in Kaduna, Port Harcourt, Lagos and Enugu states. But the distance of these facilities to the various ongoing theaters in the northeast, northwest and north central pose operational challenges to the force in tackling issues of insecurity in the regions. The actualization of this project will not only serve the Nigerian Air Force and the aviation industry nationwide, but also improve the timely security response in the regions, as explained by the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar.
Establishment of Special Operations Command, the Helicopter Overhaul Center, and the Special Operations Forces training in Bauchi is another clear testimony of the commitment of the federal government to ensure that the Northeast is not only secured, but people can indeed pursue their aspirations.
This hangar will no doubt support the various operations in the entire North and internal security operations in Bauchi.
Governor reassured the determination of his administration in supporting Nigerian Air Force at all times. In Bauchi, Muaz Hassan, NTA News.
Meanwhile, troops of Operation Sahel Sanity have arrested 12 and killed 2 bandits in Zamfara and Katsina states. A statement by the Acting Director Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Oyoko, indicates that 10 kidnapped victims were also rescued by the troops whose operations span through the northwest. Similarly, the Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Turko Buratai, has commended troops of the Nigerian Army for the destruction of Darussalam Boko Haram terrorist camps in Kogi and Nasarawa states. The troops of the Nigerian Army for Special Forces Command, Doma, Nasarawa state, raided the identified camps of the terrorist group, neutralized scores and rescued over 700 of their family members and abductees. Abdullahi in our Kaduna studio has the next set of reports. Abdullahi.
Good to see you, Larry, and thanks for joining us here in Kaduna. Security personnel deployed to maintain the peace in southern Kaduna troubled areas recorded more gains against the peace distractors. The State Commissioner of Police, Umar Muri, disclosed this shortly after a closed-door meeting with the Deputy Governor and other heads of security agencies in Kaduna State. Muhammad Umar Ajungi has details.
It is another meeting towards achieving lasting peace in southern Kaduna,
Like previous meetings, this one was also held behind closed doors. It was chaired by the State Deputy Governor Hadiza Balarabi, with the Emir of Zaza and the Commander of Operation Safe Haven in attendance.
We are getting ground on that because for the past 2 weeks now, nothing on what has happened in Zangon Katap or any part of southern Kaduna. I told you the traditional rulers, the head of security agencies, the government, federal and state government, we are on the same page, and I'm assuring every one of you that there will be lasting peace in southern Kaduna.
As the security engagement continues in southern Kaduna, the youths and traditional rulers have been urged to support the officers and men on ground to ensure the realization of the desired goal of restoring normalcy. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umarajingi, NTA News.
Thank you, Ajingi. And tackling desert encroachment now in Jigawa. As part of efforts to combat the twin phenomenon of desertification and desert encroachment, Jigawa State Government has flagged off the distribution of 2.5 million seedlings and establishment of a 4-kilometer shelter belt in Kiawa local government area of the state. Governor Muhammad Badr Abubakar flagged off the campaign in Under the Forest. Awal Muhammad Kazouri reports.
2.5 million assorted seedlings were produced in the 24 nurseries in the state for distribution to farmers, as Jigawa State is among the 15 frontline states faced by the threat of desert encroachment in Nigeria. Flagging off the distribution of the seedlings, Governor Muhammad Badr Abubakar says government has constructed 27.5 kilometers of drainages and reclaimed 3,060 square meters of eroded areas across the state in the last 5 years. Other measures taken to safeguard the environment were the introduction of use of alternative cooking facility to reduce the use of firewood.
My government has realized we cannot address improvement of farming, value chain addition and distribution and establishment of agro-allied industries, which are main form of economic development and job creation, without having a sustainable environment that can support this endeavor.
This initiative is very good
because it protects us from many things such as this lead poisoning, respiratory disease such as lung cancer, sinuses and asthma.
A State Commissioner for Environment, Ibrahim Baba Chaichai, disclosed that in the last 5 years, 10 million seedlings were produced and distributed for planting across the state. The seedlings were presented to Duse and Gumel Emirates and Jama'at al-Nasr al-Islam, among others, for onward distribution to their people for mass planting. From Duse, Awal Muhammad Kazaure, NTA News.
And that report from Jigawa ends the news. From here, Larry will take over network news. Larry, over to you.
Many thanks, Abdullahi. Let's now look at tourism. As investors continue to tap into the tourism sector globally, a multi-billion naira edifice is about to be erected at the Federal University of Technology, Mina, Niger State. Benny Adams reports that the 50-bed Travel Inn is a joint venture between Shelter Suites and the institution.
Visitors transacting business with Federal University of Technology, Mina, have to travel 20 kilometers to town to secure a comfortable accommodation. That is about to change with the signing of a contract between the university management and Shelter Suites and Hotel. It is an investment worth 1 billion naira for the construction of a 50-bed travel inn on campus, in addition to other world-class facilities for the comfort of guests, staff and students. First of its kind in the university.
It is an investment or a project that is consonant with our own desire through the infusion of private investment into the university.
This is a project that we think is viable. But more so, this is a project that we think we need to do because this is a place that we're from. We need to be happy and the university needs to be happy. So we're going into it pretty much very open, and we want to be able to not only empower the people that are there, but for us to also do well the project.
The project, which both parties describe as a win-win, is expected to provide gainful employment for the university community and a source of revenue for both parties when completed. Expected to commence before the end of September, the project is anticipated to be completed in about 18 months' duration. Benny Adams, NTA News.
In other news, ActionAid has urged state governments to domesticate the Disability Commission following the President's appointment of executive members of the National Commission for Persons with Disability, applauding the federal government for making efforts to bring to an end years of exclusion of the valuable population with the new commitment to creating a friendly society for persons with disability. Nigeria's country director of ActionAid, NTA, wants the group to be allowed to participate in all matters that pertain to them. ActionAid wants the Commission to ensure their education, healthcare and other socio-economic rights of the persons with disability contained in the 1999 Constitution be upheld. All right, let's go for a quick break now. Do stay on.
The devastation of flood in Nigeria, communities across the country and fear of impending doom, with NIMET prediction of 2020 red alert. That's our focus on NTA Tuesday Live tonight. Join us at 10:30 p.m. Don't miss it.
And now, bits of sports. Nigeria targets control of military sports on the continent. Details and more on Sports Update with Tamara Ebiwe.
Nigeria will contend with 3 other African countries, including Algeria, Guinea and Kenya, for the position of president of the Organization of Military Sports in Africa. Briefing journalists in Abuja, Brigadier General Mekano Abdullahi of the Defense Headquarters said his focus is to put Nigeria on the world map by promoting sportsmen and women in the military.
I will also ensure that our continent is adequately represented in all season sporting events in the world and General Assembly. And it will also give me the opportunity to promote sports and encourage good sporting relationship among the 51 African member countries.
The virtual election is slated for the 7th of October 2020. Nigeria's D-Tiger star player Stanley Okoye says the team must target a podium finish at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games to erase the memories of underperformance at FIBA 2019 in China. With D-Tigers currently ranked 23rd in the world and #1 in Africa, Okoye believes that a second ever Afrobasket triumph is a distinct possibility for Nigeria. In tennis, world #1 Novak Djokovic is in firm pursuit of an 18th Grand Slam title after a 6-1, 6-4, 6-1 straight set win over Damir Jumo in the US Open first round. The likes of Alexander Zverev, Stefanos Tsitsipas and Cameron Norrie progressed to second round after their wins on day 1. In the women's competition, Naomi Osaka overcame a scare to beat Misaki Doi in 3 sets, 6-2, 5-7, 6-2, while American teenager Coco Gauff's hopes of another Grand Slam run ended in a 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 defeat to Anastasia Sevastova. Tamara Ebiwe, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has joined government and indigenous of Borno State in mourning the passing of Hajia Khadija Mustafa, matriarch of the Mustafa royal family. The president sends condolences to the Lamido of Adamawa, His Royal Highness Muhammadu Barakindo Aliyu Mustafa, the entire Emirate Council, and the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who lost a mother-in-law, believing Hajia Khadija's investment of love and kindness will always be remembered and appreciated. As wife of the late Lamido, Dr. Aliyu Mustafa, President Buhari notes with sympathy that Hajia's large-heartedness and accommodating spirit created a home for everyone without discrimination, and her dedication to her husband left a legacy of loyalty and service. The President prays that the Almighty God will receive the soul of the departed and comfort her loved ones. And that's the news tonight. Thanks for watching. Remember that rape is evil. I'm Ian Ray John. Good night.